Hi everyone. Today we are going to conduct a mock interview for the role of data analyst. We have Dishu as one of our panelists who is also a data science professional and he teaches full stack data science. Along with him, we have Ritesh who is here as our interviewee and we are going to interview him for the role of data analyst. So Ritesh, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Ritesh. I have completed my bachelor's in technology in Silicon Institute of Technology and Information in electronics and communication, and I currently work as a professional. I have been 8 months working as a professional. My current expertise are Microsoft SQL Server and Python basics.
Okay, that's great, Ritesh. So in terms of Python or MySQL, how would you rate yourself if we talk of 1 to 5 with 5 being the highest?
Um, 2.5 in both Python and SQL.
Okay. So Dishu, would you like to go first?
Yeah, cool. So Ritesh, so we'll be first starting with Python, then we'll be going to a SQL. So the first basic question in the Python will be like, what is the difference between list and tuple? So you can just give an example and you can just say what is the difference between exact difference between them.
Sure, like in list, we can manipulate data and change or insert anything. In but in tuple, once we have inserted something, we cannot change it or modify it. And I will
Okay.
show you an example.
Okay, so can you just explain how these two
And
are fundamentally different in, yeah, please go ahead.
like once it is allocated to this Ritesh, we cannot change it. Uh,
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is we cannot modify any element within a tuple.
yes.
Okay, okay, that's great. Thank you, Ritesh. Okay, so coming on to the next question, Ritesh, have you worked with exception handling in Python?
No, I haven't worked with exception
Okay,
handling.
no worries.
No, you just said that you haven't worked
What
with
did you
the
just say?
exception
I
handling.
couldn't just.
Yeah, you said that you haven't worked with the exception handling, but I was just asking, have you even heard about it? What is exactly like this thing?
Yes, yes. Like we can specify error, not like as per our choice, we can specify an error, and
Got it.
there
A
are
little bit, yeah.
Okay.
means default error handling except error.
Cool. So Saurabh, you can just explain if you want.
Okay, so essentially, exception handling is used in scenarios where you do not want exceptions to just break your code or the execution of the code. Rather, you want certain pieces of code to be checked uh, in situations where exceptions can occur, can potentially occur, and you handle the exception in a customized manner, such that you maintain the flow of execution during productionization. Right? So essentially, try-catch block is something that we primarily use in exception handling in Python. Okay, so coming on to the next question. I see that you worked with lists and tuples. Can you tell me something with respect to the two functions of list, extend and append?
Append means it will allocate. I mean, insert an element at the end of the list, and um, extend. I think it can insert the element in a particular location.
Okay,
Not
that would
exactly.
essentially be insert, but just think a little more.
Mm, I think both work the same way.
Okay, no worries, Ritesh. Essentially, both are same, but they have a primary difference in the way you join elements to a list. Okay, so in append, whatever you're joining in is added as a new element, whereas in extend, whatever you're passing as an extension is added as additional elements of that list. So it's kind of like you're joining two different lists together using extend. What's happened? You're adding an element at a time. Okay, no worries. Dishu, you have any more questions with respect to Python?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have just pasted one question in the chat box. If you can see, just a scenario based example. So you have to not exactly solve this. You have to just give the approach that how you will solve it. So the question says that you have a list of let's say dictionaries, okay, and there is a key and value pair. You have name, then Aman, then his maths score and science score. Same happens for three other students. So you have to let's say write a function to calculate the average score of each student and return in a dictionary where the dictionary contains key as the student name and the value as the average value of all the marks. So how would you approach this? Have you got the question?
Yes, I got your question.
Yeah, you can take time some. You can think about it. Just tell me the approach.
Approach would be, I think, collecting the values by running a loop,
Okay, so you'll
and
use
then
which loop, for or while loop?
I'm for
Okay, cool then.
then I will store name. There's also name.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. You are approaching right.
Uh, yes, I have to collect the values, but I think there's a name which consists of string, and
So whatever the final dictionary you will have, so name will be that key, and the values, the average score that you will find out, that will be the values of that key.
can I like I I can I can use a loop to calculate the average score, and then I will another use another loop to store the names and append it to the newly created dictionary. And at the end, I will you will insert two key value pair. One is name for name and average score their corresponding marks, average marks.
Yeah, I get it. The approach was right, but you just mentioned that you will use two loops. So I don't think there is a requirement of two loops here. Only one loop is enough. You will just loop through the dictionary. You will take each of these key, and then you will take each of these values. You will just find out the average values there. And initially, you have to define a empty dictionary, and then you will just append the uh,
Mm,
value of key where there is a key name. You will append that as a key in the empty dictionary that you have created, and आप जो भी average score create करोगे that you will append again as a value. So fine, your approach was right actually. Just a little thing that you mentioned two loops. There is one loop required. So Saurabh,
Okay,
you can go ahead with
that's
the
great.
next question. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move to the next section. This will be primarily based on MySQL. Okay. So in terms of MySQL, what are some of the clauses or functionalities that you have already used or you know of,
where and in between.
where select between?
Yeah,
Okay. So
basics.
just okay. So when we use between, we provide the starting and ending values or the range. So can you tell me,
Mm-hmm.
are those starting and ending values inclusive or exclusive?
Mm, inclusive.
Okay. Are you sure about it?
Yeah, actually, I think inclusive. I couldn't exactly recall.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Can you tell me about group by clause?
Yes, actually, if there's a category or something that needs to be sorted or get the number of exactly the number of people or the items in that particular category, we use group by clause.
Okay, I think there's some confusion there. In order to sort, we'll use order by. Group by is something which try to think from the perspective of the name itself. Where would you use group by?
To categorize things, like for example, there are people playing different sports. We have to group by people who play cricket or who play basketball. That's where we use group by.
Okay. So essentially, what you intend to say is not categorization, that's a clustering. Okay? Clustering things based on the categories. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rishu, you want to?
Oh,
Yeah, just an extension of that group by question that you have asked. Let's say I have applied group by on two columns. So what does that actually mean?
group by two columns. It will give us separate columns. I mean, two different outputs having the amount of people in the particular category.
Didn't get it. Like you have said, group by that use case you have said at the last time was right. That basically happens when you apply group by on a single column. But I was asking that if you apply group by on two columns, what will happen? The answer lies in between. Like this is a simple question. Instead of one column, I'm just applying with the two columns.
No,
Okay, fine. No worries. So I will just give a hint. Like if you have two columns, so what happens basically if you have two columns, the values may be matching. Like let's say you are sorting on a column. Let's say there is a value 100, and again there is a column that is having different values, 101 and 102. So if at the first column, since you are grouping by, so since the value is matching now, same 100, so it goes with the second column again, and it orders with the help of second column. So that is how it works. So you can just check out after the interview that how it exactly works. But yeah, that is the simple thing. Next, I will just ask you a simple question. You have used a where clause, you said, and have you heard about the having clause?
yes,
Or what is that thing?
we can only use that if the, I mean, it can be used with an aggregation function, I guess, where we can
Mhm.
choose the count or the sum value or anything that can be used with the columns which can be used as an inside an aggregate function.
Yeah, right. So
Right.
when you are applying condition
Understand.
on an aggregate function, then you use group by.
having
Sorry, having. So
having, yeah.
yeah, sorry, go ahead for the next question. So
Yeah,
Okay,
so
Ritesh, can you tell me something about your past experience working on a data science project or data analysis project?
yeah, we used the MNIST handwritten images data sets, and we trained the model,
Okay,
but it was not a
what
big
was
task.
your
The big task is
what
when
was your
we
objective?
objective was to detect any sort of handwritten images. Maybe it can be even specifically that font size and anything. You can write it on
Okay.
so yeah, initially we trained the model using MNIST dataset, and then when we predicted, there were a lot of issues and mispredictions. So what we did is we added some we wanted to make the real life the images we get, we tried to make it as similar to the images that were present in the data sets. So what we did is we added extra padding so that the images were projected on the center pixels as the images were that they're in the present in the MNIST data sets. And what more we did was let's say our mod initially the object was to detect only a single digit. Afterwards we enhanced it by using like writing a number, let's say 1022, and it will just draw the boundaries contours and uh, individually predict the digits. Using OpenCV
Okay.
we did that.
Okay. And as part of the modeling, do you have, I mean, what about the models kind of that you use?
The convolution layers we used, um, input size was 28x28, and for the first layer we used 32 convolution, I mean 32 filters, and for the second
It's okay.
time
We
we
don't
used
need to go into the
with a
details.
max
So
pooling of
convolutional neural network is
yeah,
something that you
yeah,
utilized, right? Okay.
yeah.
Anything specific that you applied on that convolutional layer? Because convolutional architecture is something we know that works really well for images. So then, if you used anything specific like AlexNet or VesNet, anything that you could recall?
No, 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 no.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us something about kernels? Kernels is something that we inherently use in CNNs. So can you tell me some? Can tell us something about kernels?
Basically filters with different values. Um, they are used to do some manipulation with the pixels and getting the best features, and they will pass it to the next layers, and it will happen for each image, it will happen 32 times because there are 32 filters. Let's assume the filter size is 3x3. I don't know the deep details about how these things work, but I know that in image processing there are filters which are which have different values. For example, if I can remember, there's an age detection filter which has a specific value. I mean, I cannot. I'm not being able to explain it, but yeah, like things happen that way. They use different
Okay, we
pixel
get it.
values in the filters and manipulate it until the best features are extracted. Yeah,
Right. So different filters, which are the kernels, are essentially
and
used
they
to
use the
extract
back
different kinds of
propagation, like
features.
yeah,
Right. Go ahead. Go ahead with this.
yeah. And I was telling that we used 0.5 uh, re- drop regularization. I think to that function is used to mm, make the model train about the things real life data scenarios which are not even known for the model.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ritesh, do you
Ritesh.
have any
So,
question?
yeah, I just heard about whatever you are talking. So that was actually, I think, you are working OCR kind of thing. So you are working on a project that basically do OCR, optical character recognition. So
not
you have
OCR
mentioned,
actually. No, no,
yeah, okay,
not OCR actually. Actually, we also even if in OCR we are not getting that perfection, we are trying to build our own model for detection, and we are trying different things. We are in that process now, working on that
yeah,
process.
cool. So you have mentioned two terms that I have heard. One was that regularization. So the second one I'm come later, but first one is the
Mhm.
regularization that you have mentioned. So why we use regularization? Can you just explain that?
Like, see, we are training our model based on the data sets we have, and we want to like we need that our model should be able to predict things that are not even in the data sets, like about the unknown real things. We also want that the model should predict it accurately. So what happens is we drop 0.5 means 50% of the trained neural networks in the model training process. We try to drop that 50% of the values, trained values, and let our model train itself about the rest 50% of the values, means unseen values,
So
so
that
that
is
it
actually
may
what
get
a train test split. No, that happens when you train a model. You basically do train test split. Then you train the model on the train data set. Then you test on the test data set that is
on
unseen
the
data set.
no, that is not the case. Yeah, this is the basic, that we have validation images, but apart from that we try to drop some trained networks, so that apart from these things the model may be able to predict the unseen data.
Cool. So my basically original question was a regularization. So from my understanding, I know that regularization is used when you have the model which is overfitting. So in that case, you penalize some of the coefficient values for the features, and that way you control the overfitting. So that is why we use regularization. Cool. Second thing, you mentioned about the back propagation.
Okay,
So can you just explain about forward and back propagation? What is the difference between them and why we do that?
like they take information from the previous layer and try to improvise the training based on the inputs from the previous layer, and back propagation means the layers ahead of it, and forward propagation the layers behind it. That's the
So
case.
what's the motive behind that back propagation? Why we do that?
uh, to get uh, um, um, basically to get some information, means um, it's like supervised training. We the layers feed the models that this is the correct thing to understand, and it happens this way, and I don't know deep about this.
Yeah, same. The concept was like similar, but a main thing that we there is a loss function in every
Oh yeah,
yeah.
loss
So
function.
we want to reduce that. We want to minimize that. That is why we pass the back propagation so that it will be we will find the optimum value for that.
Yeah,
So Saurabh, from your side, if you have any other
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. In terms of machine learning, Ritesh, are you familiar with any of this ML techniques or ML algorithms?
no, no, actually.
Okay. No worries, Ritesh. Disha, you have any more questions?
uh,
Yeah, I will go like we have mentioned like ML thing and CNN. So based on that, first of all, since you know that the basic behind that is the mathematics, so maths and statistics and probability comes behind that. So I will just ask some of the basic question. So do you know about the IQR? That is, what is actually IQR? Interquartile range.
no, no, I don't know about this.
Cool. And do you know about the difference between discrete variable and the continuous variables?
I think variables.
Yeah,
Discrete
that's the
means
basic question. Whatever the features that we use. So, what is the difference between discrete and continuous features?
um no, I don't.
Cool.
So I think it was a good interview with Ritesh.
Mm.
We'll certainly share your feedback with you later. If you have any questions for us, you can ask any questions that you have.
Like after being a professional, what is like um what are the things I should focus on, and where are the, I think where I can improve, basically where are the my scope of improvisation, and I would like to know if, like after being a professional, how things happen. I like how the interviews happen. I would want to know about these things.
So essentially, Ritesh, as a working professional, you would need to be hands-on with some of these tools and techniques. For example, if we talk of machine learning, so you need to be familiar with these different algorithms, decision tree, linear regression, random forest, how they work. Your ultimate objective then is to solve a problem. It's not about the technology that you're using, rather about the solution that you are providing. So it could comprise of a multi-range of different techniques, including machine learning, might be deep learning, or even sometimes simple probabilistic and statistical results give us fundamental outcomes, right? So it's more about how you can leverage your skill sets that you have learned as part of your BTech course or as part of your internship program or wherever you're learning, right? So how you can apply all those skill sets in order to arrive at a complete solution. Understanding the solution or understanding the objective of the problem is the first step. Once you understand the objective, try to look for the simplest solution that can explain what is happening or how things are happening. Thereupon, go and add more complicated stuff, more detailed stuff as to if you start with a simple statistical model, say linear regression, right? In most of the solutions. Now, if that linear regression model is giving you some relevance or some proof that okay, this can work, you are seeing some sort of linearity, then you go ahead and proceed to perhaps more complicated, or you can take exogenous variables, which we have like multivariate analysis, and all those you continue for. Dishu, you would like to add something?
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. So whatever you have said, that you have to first approach with the simpler solution. So onto that, I will add that since we have asked some of the questions with the Ritesh, and mostly the questions he was able to answer was related to CNN and OCR related the job that he is doing actually. But I would say that you need to also understand the basic thing. So you have not like answered some of the basic questions like IQR, what is discrete and continuous variables. So as Saurabh said, that you have to apply the simpler solution first, then you have to go with the a complex thing. So to apply the simpler solution, you need to have the understanding of basic thing. So first of all, I will say that you just need to clear the basic things, then you go with the complex things. So that's the advice that I will give.
Okay, Ritesh, it was wonderful talking to you. We'll certainly get back to you with more feedback.